What's up everybody, we're back with another raid guide, and today we're taking a look at Sun King's Salvation on Mythic difficulty. I'll be going over most of the mechanics, how to deal with them, and our overall tactic for this fight. Now for this encounter, we went with something called Just Heal Forehead, and for this tactic you will need Holy Priests for their Guardian Spirit. We had 2 for our first kill. Protection Paladins, Ret Paladins can also dish out a ton of off-healing, Boomkins during Heart of the Wild as well. You will also need a few knockbacks to deal with the Phoenixes. Again, Boomkins are awesome for this. And if you have access to a Vengeance Demon Hunter, their Fear Sigil is also extremely useful. So 2 tanks, 5 healers, and 13 DPS all in all. So what's new on Mythic? The big one is the Cloak of Flames. In phase 1, Kael'thas will use this on himself, granting him a large healing absorb, and he starts casting Unleashed Pyroclasm. And you need to heal through the absorb Cloak of Flames to interrupt Pyroclasm, or it's an instant raid wipe, which is less than ideal. Once you hit phase 2 and the Shade spawn, the Shade will use this instead. Works the same way, but you now need to DPS down the absorb instead of heal, or again it's a wipe. On top of this, anytime Shade spawns you will get 2 Phoenixes, Birdie Birds, and on Mythic these stay for the rest of the fight. So after first Shade you'll have 2 birdies up, and during second Shade you'll have 4 up. And like I said, this is the Just Heal strat. The whole point is to just brute force heal to skip pretty much all mechanics, well most of them at least. So to do this we use 2 Holy Priests for their Guardian Spirit and Power Infusion. With Power Infusion Legendary you can get it on 4 healers instead of 2, which is pretty huge, but not mandatory. And Guardian Spirit's 60% increased healing taken over 20 seconds when you have 2 priests is what makes everything work. If you'd like our healing notes and rotations for this encounter, just join the Stankie Discord. With that said, let's hop into it. Cue the picture! Mark up pedestals around the room and assign players to channel it. You'll need at least 2 sets of 4 channelers for your first phase 1, but a third doesn't hurt if you lack some healing. The goal here is to transition to phase 2 before the first Vanquisher ad spawns, which is roughly 1 minute into the fight. But you also don't want to kill the big ad Doritos, because you'll get new ads when he dies. Unless you've pushed to phase 2, that is. Which is great because you want to have all DPS cooldowns ready for phase 2 so your DPSers will have so much fun on pull. So on pull you want your first channelers to instantly click their pedestals, healers start blasting away on Kael. Gather up all the ads in the middle, keep occultists interrupted and stunned to keep casts from going off. Healers be prepared to top the fonts on the ground when the occultists die. As soon as all the occultist assassins are dead, get Doritos low but don't kill him. Finish him off as soon as you transition to phase 2, which is when you've healed Kael to 45%. Again, this is all in the hands of your healers, and any DPS that can throw a heal, so you really need to have your big pump HPS pants on. With that said, let's check first phase 2. You want to have a CC rotation or knockback rotation really for the birdies to keep him away from the raid at all time, and this will continue when you go back to phase 1 again. You'll still have the 2 birdies up. Make sure they're slowed at all time as well. DK's Chains of Ice are great for this. For example, what we did, as soon as they spawned, we had 2 DKs each grip one of the birdies far back and threw a Fear Sigil on top of them and kept them feared for around 20 seconds. Unless a DPS accidentally hit one and broke it. Vortex also works wonders here, and good old knockbacks like Typhoon. Just make sure they don't reach the raid. As soon as the Shade spawns, drag it down to entrance where we have our skull mark, raid stacks behind Shade. This is to bait both the Blazing Surge Cone as well as Ember Blast. If you're targeted by Ember Blast, stack on top of the raid, everyone except active tank soaks. Move Shade and raid anytime Shade casts either Blazing Surge or Ember Blast, and always bait him towards the wall. You want to keep all your flame patches on the right half of the room so you can do the other faces on the left side without getting burned to a crisp. During this Shade you'll most likely get 2 sets of Cloak of Flames. You should have all DPS cooldowns available, so just make sure to split them up between the 2 shields if needed. You want to make sure you're pooling resources and ramping up right before the Cloak of Flames, since you only have 6 seconds to burst it down. And just keep moving the old Raid and Shade along the right side wall and keep pushing the birdies away. Deal with second Cloak of Flame, then push Shade back to 45%. When phase 1 starts again, you want to have 4 new channelers, click the pedestals instantly, and rotate with 1 or 2 more sets of channelers. If a Vanquisher ad is up, make sure you wait for its concussive smash to go off or you'll be interrupted. So wait for Stomp, then click pedestal. This is mostly for channelers group 2 and 3. Tank new ads in the middle of the left side, roughly where we have our square mark. During this, you'll get 1 or 2 Vanquishers, some Occultists and Assassins, as well as some of the small Fiends. Again, keep Occultists stunned and interrupted, tank swap on 3 stacks on the Vanquisher. If you're running any Necro DKs, their Abomination Limb is great for gathering up all Fiends and Occultists during this. Make sure the Phoenixes are kept away from the raid, preferably on the right side of the room so they don't spread more flame patches on the left side where you are. And for you healers, it's back on blasty duty on Kael'thas with one minor change. 30 seconds into second phase 1, you'll get your first healing Cloak of Flames to deal with, which requires some heavy pumps. For this, we used everything and the kitchen sink, meaning Bloodlust, New Guardian Spirit on Kael, etc, and pump away! Your goal here is to heal Kael up to 90% before the Soul Infuser spawn. If you can get it before the second Vanquisher spawn, that's even better, but at the very least you need to beat the Infuser spawn. So pretty much gather up and blast ads, heal away like crazy and prepare for second Shade. As soon as phase 2 starts, again, and the Shade spawns, drag him to the left side of the entrance, raid stacks up behind to bait Ember Blast and Surges, and just keep moving along the left side wall. You'll most likely get 2 Cloaks of Flames during this. Boss should be dead before the third cloak. Now, the Shade will be in execute range during this, so that should help speed up the process a bit. And if you have 1 Vanquisher up during this, tank pick it up and you just ignore it. Don't waste any DPS on it, just let it smack away. And yeah, just keep blasting the Shade. And that's pretty much it. This strategy makes this encounter very simple mechanically. It just requires you to push an absurd amount of healing. So I really recommend doing some research as a healer to see how other guilds have set up their healing cooldowns and stuff like that, depending on what comp you're running. Make sure to check what builds healers are using for this strat. I know some healers have vastly different builds for this fight alone. And you can always get help with this in the Stankie Discord. So yeah, just heal, forehead! If you have any questions at all about this encounter, hit me up in the comments or become a patron and get access to this Stankie Discord, where you can find raid weakauras, healing notes, and a lot of helpful people. Don't forget the usual stuff, like, comment, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. I'm also streaming all of our progression on Twitch, so make sure to check that out, Mondays and Tuesdays. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time.